What makes an insurance company bad? We need to kind of figure out what not to do and what companies not to go through. I actually am reading an article here which lists the top 3 worst favored based on the Better Business Bureau and a Trustpilot, which is kind of a review site. And you'd be surprised on the 3-4 companies that they say don't go to. There are actually 2 of them are major companies. Technically, one, I think, owns the other. So let's dive in and figure out what are the steps that we need to prevent this. And we'll go over some of those pieces that you need to know to make sure you're not going with the wrong company. The first warning sign is if you find an insurance company that is putting priority on the profits or shareholders over the current clients, over the customers. You'll notice that when they want to take in as much of your money, but don't necessarily want to add a service or a benefit. They just say, come join if you want, whatever, so on and so forth. Have a great day. And in those cases, you are nothing but a number to them. In a lot of cases, that's true. And a lot of people might comment and let me know if you're the one that is that way or feels that way. Even with some of the top companies, they just want the higher volume and they do want to make money, but they don't have the ability or the pieces in place to take care of you to the level that you want to be taken care of. The second red flag is kind of a combination. If they raise the rates constantly and they refuse to pay out claims, which is why they're putting Allstate as one of the worst companies in this mix of companies. Now, I'm not saying Allstate is bad because honestly, Allstate is built off of agencies, but also those agents don't have the control over claims or pricing. They can't choose what you pay. They only know this price is for this situation for this, and they can't even plan that. They've got to plug that into a rater just like everybody else. But Allstate is recently raising their rates beyond anything that we've seen before, 30, 40%. And I think I've even heard a little bit higher than that in some of the states. That's not that they don't want the business, which it's clear that they can't afford it, but they're willing to lower their coverages. They've been announced as actually removing pieces off of their policy so that they can make it a little bit cheaper or feel cheaper, but now you're getting a worse policy. So where's the benefit to the customer in that scenario? In this article, they are saying, based on the facts, the things that they've researched, that the Allstate brand is not doing so great when it comes to that. In those scenarios, your best option is to check other options. If you're interested in looking for a different car insurance, I'll put a link in the description below. The third piece is having billing errors. I actually have seen this with some of the companies, and I'm not going to name names here because I think they've fixed those problems, but there are some headaches that I have seen over and over, where if you pay your bill in a different time than when you were scheduled, it skips the next bill. Sounds cool, right? But when you go and spend that money and the time for pay double bill now, you're frustrated, right? If you change a car, if you do this, and the whole billing goes haywire. I actually just recently had a customer of mine that the bill just went up. It went up $20 a month. And when we called and asked about it, they're like, oh, it's just a billing error. It's the first time I've ever seen it in my 12-year career with the company I've worked with, but it keeps me mindful, puts me on red alert. Hey, I'm going to keep an eye on all these other policies so that if I see a commonality, I want to make sure my clients or my customers are taken care of. So when they get that next bill, do I have to review it? Is it a pain on my shoulders? Should I work with these companies? And that's where you've got to pick and choose the agent or agencies that you're going to work with. To piggyback on some of those problems is you'll notice that some of the red flags that you can personally see, because these are tougher things to notice. You've got to dive in and do a lot of research and maybe watch some of the reviews on this channel to find out, okay, is this company doing this? Are these reviews this? Is that like, are they raising the rates here or are they doing all that? Like there's a lot of research that goes into that. And for car insurance, there's so many of them there. It's like, I'd save my time and just go to this guy, right? In that case, that's easier. The pieces that you can quickly and easily tell is if you call that insurance company, if they have long wait times, that means that they're not properly staffed or they're not keeping their staff. That's a commonality that I've seen with companies that aren't doing well. That means for me, I'm going to go to Glassdoor. It's a website where you can check employee reviews on how they like the company. And if the employees don't like the company or don't see the vision and don't follow that, then you're going to have nothing but headaches, in my opinion, if you go to that company. The second piece that you can check is if the phone rep is not friendly. That's another telltale that Glassdoor is telling you most of those companies aren't happy. If they're not being taken care of, you're not being taken care of, and odds are your claims and any problems that you have down the road are going to be that or even worse. The other telltale sign is if the different representatives that you talk to or their website don't reflect each other. So if one agent says one thing, another agent says another, and the website says something different, it's probably a good sign that it's not likely the company that you would go with. Are there possible errors that need to be fixed? Sure. But if you notice or get a bad feeling from that scenario, then it's probably not the company you should be working with or the agent that you should be working with. So how do you stay away from companies like this? The easiest way is to do reviews online. Read them, go through them. If I've done a review on a company, you can see the reviews that I've pulled up. I look at a handful of different things on different companies. So I'm looking through Google and trying to find what are the reviews on average with different companies? What are the actual claims being paid out? What's the stability of the company? Different pieces that add up to whether I would want to do business with them. Now, most reviews are bad online, so you're not necessarily going to get the greatest answer there. But in that case, if you do see some reviews, look at the situations. You actually have to read a few of them and say, oh, this was a house claim. I can push that out because I'm a renter. Or, oh, this was this scenario. I can take that out because I don't do that. Or it's not even in my area. Maybe it's something that's happening over in Florida versus I'm in Michigan. So in those cases, I can't necessarily say that that Florida agency, because it's a different model in a different state, is a good fit or bad fit. In that case, I got to take a little bit of the reviews with a grain of salt, but it does add up. If that company as a whole has hundreds or thousands of reviews and they're lower than a 3.5 star, red flag's going to go up in my head. But Mark, what are some of the top companies that I should look at? Just skip the bad stuff. Tell me the good companies. There's a lot of them. And actually, I'm sure you're probably wanting to know what the bad ones are. This isn't my article, so you can't sue me for this. It's the DetroitBureau.com is the website that did this. It was done in December of 2022. So at the time of this video, it was only a few months ago, right? Okay, so it was Allstate was the worst. AIG was the second worst, and Farmers was the third. AIG was worse than all of them. So it was Allstate was the middle, Farmers was the best of the worst, and then AIG. And it was basically claims, complaints, payouts on claims, things like that. I got a feeling they might be bundling in Farmers Sub Company, because if they're including Bristol West, that's a company that they own, that's possibly going to hurt them worse, because Bristol West is not known as being a majorly good company for claims. They tend to be a little bit longer. They're a little bit cheaper. There's a reason for that. It's kind of one of those things you get what you pay for. So they're not necessarily a horrible company, but according to this review, that's where we're going from. Now, I'm not going to read some of the reviews out because they are clearly meant to get you to read the article. It's fraudulent and my son did this. And I get that. That might be true. But when I read articles, I don't necessarily focus on those ones. I'd rather go read my own reviews just because this is meant for me to stay on their page, get the reading. And then if you go further down, they're wanting you to do quotes and they're showing you the best companies and da-da-da-da-da, right? Because they say next up, the best one is Geico and the next best is USAA, which is kind of okay depending on the situation. Personally, I would lean towards a Nationwide. A Safeco, which is a Liberty Mutual brand. They're also really good. I get it. Some of you guys hate Liberty Mutual. Some of you love them. It's a 50-50, right? It's a love and hate. It's just like Farmers. A lot of people love them. A lot of people hate them. And some have had good experiences. Not my article. So, stop telling me all the bad ones. Where can I go? What are the companies that I can go to? If you're looking for some of the top companies, I'll put a video that I did here that goes over some of the top insurance companies around. If you're looking for the best price, I also did a recent video that goes over the cheapest insurance that you can purchase. Most of those aren't actually bad, to be honest with you. They're actually really good companies. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Otherwise, I'm Mark with Think Insurance. I'll see you soon.